on, son. Just keep quiet for me real quick, okay? Hey guys, good morning. Nicole Cooper here. I am out running errands, and you see I got my little guy in the back, but I had to shoot this video because I literally have a I literally have I don't know, butterflies in my stomach and this aggravation in my spirit. Like, it's almost like an overwhelming nervousness. And I don't want to say nervousness, but when your stomach has butterflies. So if you're joining me, I want to come and just hop on here for a second, just to vent. And it's just some stuff I got to say. I can't take it anymore. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Keisha. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Rashid. What's up, cousin? I saw you up late last night chit-chatting. But guys, I want to come on and talk to you guys because I think, hey, Casey, I think a lot of us are feeling the same way. There's this energy in my spirit, and I know that this energy is a lot of frustration. This energy is a result of like the tension that is happening all over our country right now and all over the world because of what took place yesterday. And I wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys because I feel like there is a unsettling in a lot of our spirits. There is an awareness that there is a major shift happening throughout our country. Hold on, baby. There's a big shift happening in our country. People are boiling over with confusion and like what's happening and what are we encountering right now. So I want to talk to you guys just really quick about just some things that I feel in my spirit that I need to be more vocal about. And not just for me to be vocal about it because of my own personal benefit, but a lot of times many of us just don't know what to do in a situation like this. As you guys know, a lot of stuff took place yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia. You know, it was unfathomable. Is that a word? Unfathomable or unbelievable that we're getting to such a place in our country that we're experiencing some this stuff is getting so blatant and it's getting so obvious of what's happening. I can go into a lot of political chatter. I can go into a lot of opinions. I can go into what I'm feeling, but I want to talk to something that's bigger that a lot of us don't realize. Okay, one of my good friends this morning, she posted something on her page about yesterday, and she gave a whole long kind of explanation about it, but she said it's not a skin problem, it's a sin problem. Okay, she said it's not a skin. Carson, can you stop that for me, please, just for a second? Thank you. She said it's not a skin problem, it's a sin problem. Here's why I'm so frustrated in my spirit. Because as an African-American female, I have so many people in my life that are family. And it has nothing to do with what color of their skin is. I have people that are Asian. No, they're not behind us, baby, because we're in a parking spot. I have Asian, Latino, white, you name it, Indian. So many friends from so many cultures that are like family to me. And when you have the ability to connect with folks on a heart level and on a love level, you don't see skin. I don't see skin. You know, yes, you know what color and race somebody is, but when you are able to understand how we were made and the beauty of the human connection, to be able to connect with people from a just from a heart level. I don't even know what other way to explain it. You see the beauty all around us in people. Unfortunately, when you look at the news and when you look at what is being displayed across the world, it's not just the country, it is a provoking of the negative. It is always a promotion of the hatred. It is a promotion of the evil. It is a promotion of the unfathomable things that make us all feel that the world is the exact same way. And when she wrote that down this morning, it's not a skin problem, it's a sin problem. I was like, you know, here's the harsh reality about our generation. Shh, Carson. No, you have to wait, okay? Here's the harsh reality about our generation. Most of us are spiritually disconnected, okay? Because we're a very intelligent generation and we have so much information at our fingertips that we are moved by our emotions and we're moved by our feelings. But what we don't understand is that... Can you be quiet for mommy just for a few minutes? Okay, thank you. What most of us don't understand is that there's two things that dominate, two energies, two forces that dominate the world that we live in. It's good, y'all, and it's evil. All right, it's good and it's evil. In this generation that we're in right now, evil is getting more and more prevalent because the moral consciousness has disappeared. So there's a lot of the ability for people to do things without a connection. I don't even know how to explain it. But if you, and most of you guys, you know, people don't like Bible talk. People get offended by Bible talk, which is crazy, right? We get offended by Bible talk, which is designed to help give us a guide to navigate our way through a country or through a world that we don't understand. That if you can't make sense of what's happening in the natural, at least you can get some kind of spiritual reference, some kind of spiritual reference of how to navigate in a situation like this. Guys, hatred is not new. Okay, evil is not new. If you go back into the Bible and you go back to Genesis, right, the first book of the Bible, you can actually see when the Israelites were living in Egypt how much they hated the Israelites, and they wanted to kill every male, every firstborn boy throughout that whole generation and wipe them out. Like, that was what the king commanded, right? It was hatred back in the beginning of time. It's hatred that is happening here. But a lot of us are beginning to get very defensive about everybody around us to the point where we don't see evil for what it is. Guys, listen, the greatest trick of evil is to get you to believe that God is not real. Okay? The greatest trick of the enemy is to steal, kill, and destroy, and to come to us and to make us believe that God does not care about you, that God is going to leave you and abandon you, that there is no God because there's so much evil on the earth, that God will never protect you, that no matter how much you pray or how much you seek the face of the Lord, that you're going to be out here vulnerable and the world is going to get you. Like, the enemy perpetuates constant fear. Now, as a businesswoman and as somebody that's always talking about, you know, business and mindset and all this stuff, I realize that a lot of times we don't help people understand the biblical and the spiritual aspects of what we're coming across in this world that we're living in. And what I'm sick and tired of is being mute about spiritual matters, right? A lot of times we want to be politically correct and not talk about what's happening for what it is. Instead, we want to blame it towards other human beings. At the end of the day, it is a demonic force that is ruling and reigning, you know, throughout this country, trying to wipe out as many people's belief systems as possible to get you to believe that God does not exist. They want to get you to believe that God is not there to protect you and get you to believe that all people of a certain race are evil. One of the things that I do understand, guys, is that you have to be aware of the fact that there are people out here who do what they did yesterday. But what I also understand is this is not a time for us to aim our energy and our focus on another human being. It's time for spiritual battle. What does spiritual battle mean? It means that it's time for us to rise up and begin to talk about, the Bible tells us that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're spiritual, meaning it's not a physical battle, it's a spiritual battle. The spiritual battle is dominion over your mind and over your belief system. It is your ability, for example, to be a black person and think that all white people are evil. It is your ability to be Latino and think that everybody is against you and want, you know what I mean? Like, it's creating these belief systems that the news perpetuates that wants to get us to believe that that's the world that we live in today. The reality is that's not true. All white people are not evil or racist, right? all certain races are not out after another race. There's a few bad apples that got a lot of airtime yesterday that created such a frustration in the spirits of so many people. And can you wait? Can you be a good boy and just wait for mommy? Okay. Show mommy you can wait, and then you can play when I'm done. Okay? Yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am? All right. So here's what we have to do. No, you have to wait. Stop. No. Stop, sweetheart. Okay, here's what we have to understand, guys. And we've heard about this years and years and years, but we are in the last days. And the Bible talks about in the last days, people will become lovers of themselves, right? People will lose their ability to have a moral consciousness for what they do. People will get to a point in a place where they'll be so overwhelmed with demonic forces that they will do the craziness that they have done. But here's what we also have to understand, that there's a God that exists, that no matter how crazy and psychotic this stuff look, y'all, it was all predicted before time. This is the time when we really have to bring an awareness to people to understand that God is real, God exists. This is a spiritual battle, but unfortunately, all we get through media is the evil side of things. And we have to understand the intention. Yes, these mindsets are establishing Satan's kingdom through fear. You can say that again, Carolyn. You know, the thing about it right now, guys, is for you to be boiled over with fear, for you to be boiled over with hatred, and for you to be boiled over with animosity towards other human beings. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a fool. Don't think I'm not going to gun ranges and I'm not going to be packing. Because if a fool come to me with a gun, we will go to war, right? I'm not a fool. I understand that even in the Bible, in the Old Testament, all throughout the Bible, there was wars, and you always had to be ready to go to war. So I'm not a fool that's going to sit around here and tell y'all in the real world that I'm going to sit around here and be stupid enough to not realize that people will do stuff to you in real life and I don't be equipped. I'm from LA, from South Central, and I understand what it means to protect yourself. I'm not a fool. All right. But what I am saying to you guys is, on a spiritual level, it is time to understand, to see beyond what it is that we are encountering, to get into a serious relationship with the Lord and go to God in prayer to understand how to be vocal voices to denounce evil. We have to get to a point right now, guys, where we are bringing awareness of the Spirit of the living God that exists. That yes, there is a Jesus that has come on this earth and died for us. And there's also a spiritual warfare that is happening right now that God is already going to get the victory over. A lot of us just don't understand a lot of this biblical stuff because it seems so confusing and it seems so unrealistic that a lot of us have given up. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that there's not churches out here that are super religious and doing all the wrong things. I'm not talking about church. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about an opportunity to really have a relationship with God, to understand how to see beyond what we see in our physical eyes, to go to war in a spiritual sense. So what does go to war in a spiritual sense mean? It means that you begin to see Satan for who he is. An evil trickster that is on this earth, that rule goes through this earth seeking whom he may devour. It says he's like a lion seeking whom he may devour. What does that mean? That means that he wants to destroy your life. He wants to destroy your marriage. He wants to destroy your kids. He wants to destroy your relationships with people. He wants to destroy your opportunities at work, where there's hostility in the workplace because you beefing with people and you don't know how to get along with people. But what does God represent on the earth? Now, this is going to sound super corny, y'all, but God represents love. Love covers a multitude of sins. Doesn't mean that if I was in a situation like Charlottesville yesterday that I would not be upset. Don't mean that you can sit down and negotiate with ignorance. What it does mean is that you become aware. You don't become reactive to what it is that you see, but you begin to operate from a place of love, to begin to be a representation to those around you, to stand taller and bigger than what's being communicated through the ignorance of a human being, right? A lot of times, guys, we fall prey into our environments of what we see, and we take on the spirits of what we see. So if we saw what we saw yesterday, now we're hostile. Now we got an attitude. Now we want to beef with people. Now we want to go out here and hate everybody that we see that look like them folks that we saw yesterday. And I'm not going to say that they're not around you. They're not your neighbors, right? Where I'm at out here in Georgia, I see a lot of Confederate flags, and I don't put nothing past folks who run around here and blatantly want to promote whatever it is that they want to promote. But I also understand that my role on this earth as a human being is to empower people by understanding that God is real, that it is all about being able to walk through this earth, understanding that God has such a bigger plan for what's happening, that we have the victory despite how crazy it seems. Right now, as a black woman, I know how we feel. We feel suppressed, right? As African Americans in this country, Latinos in this country, a lot of different people in this country, we feel feel suppressed. We're concerned. You know, you heard whatever the dude name was yesterday, that America wants to take America back. Let me tell you, the people who think they're going to take America back don't own America. All right? Don't no human being own the earth. They're all occupants just like we are. And unfortunately, there is this lack of understanding amongst the human race that we're here forever. Nah, dude, you here temporarily. Your life is but a vapor on this earth. You only here for a season, and there's an assignment for your life. And when you leave this earth, you got two options. There is a hell and there is a heaven. And what you do on this earth will dictate where it is that you will go, and you will be held accountable for every action you take. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all see all these fools out here doing the damage that they do? They don't get away with that. They don't get away with that. You think that fool that ran into the traffic yesterday, that drove his car into that crowd, gonna get away with it? You think because a race of people are gangster enough to come out there and protest a certain, you know, whatever their belief is, that they gonna take their country back? You think these fools gonna get their country back? Man, these fools don't own this country, right? That's how limited in their thinking that they are, that you think you gonna own a country and you have the right to claim the country back. You will never get this back because you never owned it. You'll end up in hell running with the demon that you allowed in your life, and that's where you gonna stay. Like, listen, y'all, I'm not moved by a human being. They could take my body, but they can never take my soul. They can never take my spirit. What I do understand is on this earth, we are on assignment, and we cannot fall prey to the limitations of other human beings who are simply ignorant. They don't know what they're called to do. Sweetheart, I need you to sit down, baby, okay?
I want to play.
No, but this is not time to play. Mommy's shooting a video. Can you just have a seat?
Can we go to the store?
Is this what you do in class?
No.
Okay, then have a seat. You got to follow directions. Thank you. So here's the deal, and this is what I want to get across to y'all. Too many of us are running around here afraid, feeling like somebody got some sense of control over our life, feeling like somebody can dictate our destiny, feeling like somebody can remove us from a place or control an economic system over our life. Let me tell y'all, can't nobody rule what God has predestined in your life. Can't nobody dictate what's going to happen to you. I don't care how many forces that be, or how many other people out there feel like they're a superiority over your life, and they're going to come and tell you what you can and cannot do. Let me get y'all to understand something. They have no power. They have no power. The greatest trick of the enemy is to get you to believe that God does not exist. What I want y'all to understand is God does not operate in the human capacity. The Bible tells us that a natural man cannot understand the things of God because they're spiritually discerned. What does that mean? You see, what God teaches and what God shows us and what God explains does not make sense in the human brain. So it's very easy to denounce God because your brain is so limited in its ability to understand that you feel like, oh, what God is talking about is not real and it can never happen. It's non-existent. There is no God. If there was a God, this would happen and that would happen. Well, see, that's the mind of the limitation of a human being. But I tell people all the time, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spirit beings having a human experience. We were born before the foundations of the earth. I need you to sit down. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, and then you're going to lose every privilege.
No.
Okay, then have a seat. Thank you. We are not here working in our human capacity to operate in fear. We are here to have dominion over the earth. We are here to rule, reign, and abide. We are here to step on the heads of demons and serpents. We're here to operate in the power and the authority of the living God, of Jesus Christ. We are here right now for y'all to really be in position to be representations of who God is from heaven here on earth. So all this stuff that you see, man, it is straight up called fear, false evidence appearing real. Don't think that I don't get pissed off seeing what I see. I'm very pissed off about the injustices that appear. That's the human side of me. But the spiritual side of me said, Nicole, do you really think I'm going to sit back and allow these incompetent individuals who have no understanding of me to have control and power to do what they claim they're going to attempt to do in their limited minds? No, they cannot do that, y'all. Listen, yes, people can take your life. Yes, people can do some demonic stuff to take your life. But here's what I want you to understand, y'all. There are forces that are working on our behalf. that we may not understand, which allows us to not have to succumb to the fear of these limited human beings who are operating in the demonic forces of an evil spirit whose goal is to wipe you out. It's like most of us, we are so afraid, and we're in such panic mode because we feel like they really have the ability to wipe out, to go through what they plan. They cannot. They cannot. I'm just here to tell you, when I say they, I'm not talking about a whole race. I'm talking about the Satan's little minions here on the earth that is not surrendered to a Lord that we have. God says that vengeance is mine, right? God says his vengeance is mine. And that means that all these people that are doing what they're doing will be held accountable for what it is that they have done. And God will have a way of wiping them out. You know, if you go in, there's so many scriptures out there, right? I forgot the... There's so many references in the Bible where you had these small armies who go to war against... I mean, it could be like 1,000 of them fighting against 10,000, and they wipe them all out. And it's because they would pray, and they would surrender, and they would understand that 1 plus God is the majority. And when I go to war, God got my back, and he will allow people to be wiped out. God will literally wipe out a whole nation of people. And I need y'all to understand something. God is not a punk. God is not a punk. Too many of us are running around here thinking that God is weak and incapable of doing what he needs to do to be able to protect his people. God is not a punk. We are not going to sit around here and be wiped out by evil. It's not going to happen. But what we have to do is know who it is that we serve and how God has called us to serve. And I want you guys to understand right now more than ever, this is not the time to operate in your human limitations of fear. This is not the time to look at people and hate everybody around you because of what a handful of ignorant people did yesterday. This is a time to surrender to God, to say, Lord, sit down. Okay? This is a time to surrender to the Lord and say, God, use me the way that you want to use me to have the greatest level of impact, because I know in this season now more than ever, God needs all of us to rise up, to be vocal. God needs all of us to rise up to be able to provide hope and restoration. God needs us to rise up to be able to operate from a place of love and a place of wisdom. Now, I ain't saying be no fool, but from a place of wisdom, and understand that this is not about a physical warfare. This is not physical warfare. This is spiritual warfare. This is where the enemy is having the best time of his life, promoting to the world, not just America, promoting to the world all this fear that certain groups of people have all this power that they're going